need someone to show me my place in all this. Something inside me has always been there. But now it's awake. And I need help.
I've seen this raw strength only once before. It didn't scare me enough then. It does now. I saw raw, untamed power. And beyond that, something truly special.
Aloha! This is Trinidad the Island Man, your Island Man, coming to you live once again from beautiful Hawaii, here on the island of Oahu, back from the Bahamas, bringing you the best movie reviews on the entire island of Oahu, here in the state of Hawaii. And yes, this is Trinidad the Island Man, your Island Man. And let me just say, the first movie that I have seen since I have gotten back has been Star Wars The Last Jedi. And now, a lot of reviews have been out on this for like the past week, and even spoiler reviews have hit even before you could go see this movie last night, and which I did see it last night, Thursday night, the premiere, the opening night for the public, and I am the public here, along with you guys. I don't get any special previewings of these movies. But let me just say, remember our rating scale. Shock a thumbs up. It's good to see, I recommend it. Shock a thumbs down. It's bad to see, it's junk. I don't recommend it. And for Star Wars The Last Jedi, it is a shock a thumbs up. So, now, let me just say that, although it is a shock a thumbs up, I cannot be 100% fully behind this movie, as it did let me down a little bit from the first one, Force Awakens. Now, the first one, Force Awakens, was directed by J.J. Abrams, and he did a well enough job, a good job. The characters were good. We had a reintroduction with Han Solo, Princess Leia, along with the new characters being very well established. Rian Johnson directs this second installment, The Last Jedi, and of which I have to say it is a little bumpy. I went into this fully expecting, this being the second of this three of the trilogy, something more akin to Empire Strikes Back. And although it attempts to follow in those footsteps, and of the general along the lines of that, it fails to do so consistently, smoothly, and often seems like it's a little jumpy, whereas the scenes are not smoothly transitioned from. Now, that being said, because we have the end of Force Awakens, very much like the end of the original Star Wars New Hope, with the rebels on the upswing, very happy with the defeat of, yes, the Death Star in both movies. Yet, in this one, very much like the Empire Strikes Back, right away, they are sundered, they are under force, the rebels, on the back foot, running for their lives, essentially. And it pretty much goes through that the entire movie. Again, very much like Empire Strikes Back. Now, from the first set of the prequels, from New Hope to Empire, you kind of understood that because, the Empire had been strong and around. In this one, the Empire had been on the back foot for a while since the Emperor had died in Return of the Jedi. So, and although we did glimpse the rebels, they seem to be on a pretty good footing in respect to the Empire. At least on equal footing. So to see them on the back foot so much, it seems like a lot had been left out about such dire straits of the rebel forces versus the Empire. Because from Force Awakens, you definitely had the feeling that this was, the two are equal, just kind of battling it out, and each side is looking for a particular edge to knock the final blow. And the rebels feel that the final blow knocking would be done with finding Skywalker. Thus the search for the map in the first movie, Force Awakens. However, in this one, it seems like, the rebels just had a lucky shot, again, just like in the original, Star Wars. I didn't read any of the books coming up to this movie, up to, Force Awakens. So, if the rebels did not have the upper hand after after Return of the Jedi, I think they should have done a little bit more to backfill us in from Force Awakens, because it looked like they were on top at Force Awakens, even at the beginning, and, taking out the other Death Star was, or the Death Planet, or whatever they called it, seemed like a crushing blow for the Empire. So to see the rebels on the back foot so much, right from the get-go of this movie, didn't make a lot of sense to me. So that is a little nitpickiness with this movie. And again, like I said, some of the scenes were disjointed, like maybe the edits, and the transitions from scene to scene were not as smooth as they could have been, or definitely should have been. With such a esteemed director of Rian Johnson, who has, by the way, based on this movie, gotten another 3 Star Wars trilogy to be filmed and directed by himself at a later date. Now, this is totally going to be a standalone, kind of like a Rogue One, characters we haven't met before with a story that's new and fresh. So perhaps he'll be better with that, and not have to maybe pigeonhole where he was so much with whatever Abrams had left him. But a lot of this did not make sense to me in The Last Jedi. Also, it felt like, this movie was 2 hours and 33 minutes. Force Awakens was 2 hours and 15 minutes. I would have liked to seen like maybe 10 minutes of The Last Jedi taken away and put on the end of Force Awakens. Where we are introduced with Rey and Skywalker on the island, on the Jedi Island, could have easily gone on the back of that other movie, which, just abruptly ended right there as the two had met. And I think that would have built a little bit more towards this movie as well. And slimmed it up a little bit, because it was kind of plodding along, trying to figure out what it wanted to do, it seemed. But overall, this had some very well choreographed action. We get to see, this will not have any spoilers per se in it. There might be a couple of little tidbits, but nothing major, no major spoilers. We get to see a romance happen between Finn and another person, and it's clear that he holds a certain specialness towards Rey, and Rey has a special feelings towards him as well. So it will be interesting to see how this love triangle dynamic continues. Much has been surrounded with the death of Princess Leia, Carrie Fisher, in real life. And as such, I personally felt that, all her filming being finished and completed in The Last Jedi would have been a good way to have her transition out of this trilogy. However, that doesn't take place. I'm sorry, that's the major spoiler. There are several points in it that, she could have exited, that they could have said, okay, this is it for her. And, there we go, that's finished. it mirrors real life. What they did with the character was interesting, but again, there were so many good moments that, she could have done this, even so much to the fact that she could have done what Luke does in the end, and which I think would have been a great moment for her character. However, what they do in the next movie, I mean, unless we just don't see her at all in the next movie, which, what's that going to be? You're just going to get some radio that, she had to go to another planet, she had to take care of some other rebellion business, and we're not going to see her anymore? It would have just been more tidy, I think, to have had her character expire on screen, with the final salute. And that would have wrapped it up much, much better and given the fans something to, remember Carrie Fisher a little bit more by. Again, I don't know what Abrams has planned for the third movie for number 10, episode 10 of the Star Wars trilogy wrap-up for these sets. But, I really feel like a lot was missed with the opportunities that they had for this movie in that respect. Again, this trying to be like an Empire Strikes Back, we are expecting to see some great training that Luke gives Rey. And again, it's just underwhelming. Very quasi-philosophical stuff, which is interesting. However, which goes again towards the fact that some people didn't like Rey in Force Awakens, that she was too much of a Mary Sue, too much of a, I can do anything character. And this one kind of solidifies that, in that she can do anything, because she essentially does not receive any serious training from Luke Skywalker, yet her abilities and powers, continue to grow exponentially. There are a few moments which are surprising and interesting in this movie. I felt that they could have done a little bit more with it. There are several scenes in this that don't quite make the cut as far as I'm concerned. Maybe I'm being hypercritical as, a Star Wars fan, definitely of the first three, New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. But really, I feel that any hardcore fan is going to be a little bit let down by this movie. Yes, it is a good movie. Yes, it is a decent sequel to Force Awakens, but it is not the extent of Empire that we should have got. All right, thank you so much. This is Trinidad the Island Man, still giving The Last Jedi, Star Wars The Last Jedi, a shaka thumbs up. I saw it in 3D. Not really necessary for all the explosions, all the special effects. IMAX, 3D on this, not 100% necessary. So if you want to save your money and just catch it regular priced for the regular 2D screening, that's fine. I mean, there's a lot of action, a lot of drama. It is interesting. It is good to see. Being $15 is what I saw it at for the 3D. It was nice, but if you're worried about the cost, just see it normal, matinee price. Definitely on the $6 Tuesday at Regal, or through the rest of this month, Monday, Wednesday, and Tuesday over at Consolidated. And you can't go wrong with Star Wars The Last Jedi. All right, again, shaka thumbs up for it. Overall, I'm interested and a little frightened of what the next movie will be, as it's kind of open-ended. All right, thank you so much. This is Trinidad, the Island Man, your Island Man, saying aloha.